All right, Dirk, if you, I need to see the monitor, please. All right, it's 7:07. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. Our first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. May I ask Selectman Musket to lead us to the pledge?
Of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All members of the Board of Selectmen are here and present. Our first item of business is the approval of the meeting minutes from April 17th, 2025. They're in your packet. Everybody's had a chance to review them.
April 17th. Board of Selectmen regular meeting.
Is there a second? Second. Made and seconded. Any corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yep. 3 in favor, 1 abstention. All right, we're going to move on now to public participation. There is a sign-up list for anybody who would like to speak. People are welcome to make any comments that they'd like, but they are relegated to 3 minutes. I understand that there are some people who would like to speak after the town attorney speaks this evening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the names in the order in which they signed up on the list. If you are called and you would like to speak at the end of the meeting, kindly indicate that and I'll just move on to the next person in line. I'll make a note on the sheet and we'll come back to you at the end. Sound good? Okay. No, because they want to speak. That's really the only thing we have. So I'll take that in a second. I'm first going to call on Bob Like, 80 Rye Street.
You do better than volunteer first in the Navy.
Mr. Like, you get 3 minutes.
That's a very good strategy. Thank you. Jason, members of the Board of Selectmen, other town officials, and people on this side of the aisle. I don't ever recall writing and reciting verbatim a speech or a sales presentation, even for $1 million printing press. Not wearing red tonight. I reserve that for tomorrow. Veterans red, and remember everybody deployed, and I call it bring back, recover everybody deployed. Anyway, I didn't display a yellow sign out tonight either. I am, however, very concerned about the further expansion of the solar power facilities in the rural areas of East Windsor. My involvement in partisan politics has been for over 52 years now, and it's been both challenging and rewarding. The issue of an expansion of and or additional solar fields in East Windsor should not be a political issue. Those of you that think it is, it sure ought to be a bipartisan. We don't have a political problem in East Windsor. The election's over. That was last November. We've got a hell of a communication problem. Texting is terrible. And using social media, in my opinion, is even worse. It doesn't help to communicate. It doesn't help with problem solving. I'm going to offer 4 exhibits for the record and recite brief parts of each one. Exhibits A, B, C, and D attached. November 12, 2020, from First Selectman Boswell, the town of East Windsor is in strong support of the project above. And we're talking about in all of these times, we're talking about 492 gravel pit solar on the docket. The next one is who knows who made it, but Jason's name's attached to it in a Facebook that says the expansion is absolutely not supported by me or the town government. I don't know who that means, and will be opposed before the siting council, who does have jurisdiction to these site projects, parentheses, the town does not, end parentheses. Third one is the April 30, 2025 letter from the siting council via electronic mail, citing when their agenda is and when they're going to consider again opening up this docket number 492. The last one is a lady that made a remark on the 30th, I think today, maybe yesterday, on Facebook again. We, whoever that is, respectfully ask the town to send a formal opposition letter attending the hearings and help organize public comments. So I don't understand why
Mr. Light,
transparency
that's 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
is even an issue.
I'm next going to turn to Brenda Crockett, please.
Jason, do you speak to any of the comments that are made up there?
We're not supposed to.
The record?
We don't accept documents from the public during public participation. That's been a longstanding practice. Ms. Crockett.
Yeah, this isn't a speech, it's a conversation. So pertaining to the pledge we said, with liberty and justice for all. I'm here peacefully with this. And it's about, unless we care enough to all work together, what's happened to lead us to today is, I want to say in the past, but what's happening here going forward, we all collectively, I'm sure, don't want to see this town taken over with industrial solar. So we're asking tonight to this board, instead of hearing, we sent a letter from the attorney because we know that. Any of us who went online and read it, we know that. The attorney sent the letter opposing this. We would request of the attorney a stronger stance, perhaps, instead of opposed. We're like vehemently opposed to this. I know it's not legal to say we're fed up, we're angry. We're not gonna take this laying down. But we need all of us, this board to work together to just make that happen. So I'm wondering, Jason and board, if you can share with us tonight, what can we do? Because to hear these passionate people, for these passionate people to hear, there's nothing we can do. Our hands are tied is not the response that we want to hear. So we want to hear an action plan. How can we back you up? How can we support you? How can we collectively stop this takeover of our town? We didn't choose to live here, to live on outer space. We need some help here. So we're passionate people. We're committed to this town. People stay here for generations and generations. They never leave because of the way this town is. You know, Jason, you have, all of you probably have generations of family here. I'm sure you don't want to see this either. So let us help you. Tell us what we can do. We're taking a list. Holly's walking around taking a list of names and phone numbers. Beautiful young girl. Find her. She's right over there with the cowgirl hat. So that we can reach back out to these passionate people who took their time to be here tonight. So please let us help you. Give us a plan. Tell us where we can go, what we can do. Our signs, we're not here to beat anybody up. We're not here to, we need help. We need to help you. You need to help us. So that's it. I don't know if my kids.
Want me to type in the code?
All right, next up is Nicole Paradise.
Thanks. My name is Nicole Paradise, and I did time this for 3 minutes, so I hope I keep to that because this is my first time speaking in a public setting. So thank you for the tips. I get nervous, but I'm going to give this my best. Brenda, you stole my speech, but here we go. My name is Nicole Paradise, residing at 26 Meter Worker Road in Broadbrook. I want you to picture this. A local volunteer firefighter finally returns home after responding to an emergency. Exhausted but proud to serve his town. He sits down with his family, hoping to enjoy a quiet moment in the backyard he grew up in. A view of open skies and cornfields, a place full of memories. The doorbell rings. He's handed a certified letter that he must sign from Aaron Spedlow, the president of Gravel Pit Solar. In this moment, he learns that the land behind his home, the same field where he was married, where his friends were married, and where my husband and I were married could soon be covered in steel and glass. Not long after the GPS letter that threatened his family's future, our fire department was called on 3 separate occasions to the solar farm to extinguish fires caused by their dangerous equipment. We know emotions are running high. People are upset, they're angry, and even heartbroken about the future of our town and what it could look like. But tonight we're here to ask clear, respectful questions and ask for your leadership. First, what are you currently doing? And what are you planning to do to prevent or stop the solar expansion and new solar developments targeting our farm? Second, how can we help you? What are the steps we as residents can take to stand with our town government and be heard by the Connecticut Siting Council? We elected our local leadership to speak for us in the places we cannot speak for ourselves. If the Siting Council makes the final decision, how do we make sure they hear us? Our Selectman, Keith Yagala, is also an attorney who undoubtedly has the knowledge we can use to slow down and stop the solar expansions, potentially taking over our friends and our neighbors' backyards. We respectfully ask him and the rest of the board, what legal tools or strategies do you suggest we use to stop them? Because if we don't act and this expansion moves forward, our children's daily drive to school will be overwhelmingly lined with solar panels instead of farmland. It's time to stop pointing fingers and start building solutions. We know what the problem is. What we're asking urgently and respectfully is for your help in solving it. We are already home to the largest solar farm in all of New England. We've done our part and enough is enough. This isn't just about power or profit. It's about people. It's about preserving East Windsor, not just for those who grew up here, but for our children who we hope will one day call this home too. The final decision may not be yours alone, but your responsibility to protect the people and the character of this town and to guide us in how to fight for it absolutely is.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis.
You're here.
I'm sorry to say I'm having trouble reading this name, so I can get the first name, but I can't read the last name. Is there a Bradford? Is it Finney?
Bradford Finney, yeah.
Finney? Yes, it is.
Going to be a short speech. Well, I'd like to say thank you to the board members and thank you to Jason. Thank you for all being here tonight. It's very important to myself and it's very important to my family. So my name is Bradford Finney and my small family and I, we live at 174 Windsorville Road. I'm sure you all know it. And for the last 13 years, we've lived in this small town. My wife and I have rebuilt the old farmhouse in this town from 1854. And it was a quiet town, full of nature and lots of charm. But now it's not. The nature is gone. The charm is fading away with every solar farm installed. We don't want it in our town for our future and more importantly, for our children's future. Pick another state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Finney. Christoph.
I'm Christina Dahl. And start my 3 minutes yet, Jason. And I'm one of the administrators of the East Windsor Residents for Responsible Solar. Thank you, Jason, for allowing us to speak tonight. I also want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who joined us tonight in opposition to the expansion of gravel pit solar. Your presence and commitment demonstrate the strength of our community as we stand together to protect our towns from unchecked solar stuff. Your support is invaluable and reinforces the power we have when we come together for a common cause. When we launched our grassroots effort, we never imagined the scale of the battle we would face. We endured some setbacks, but we remain committed to educating the community and standing up against corporate interests, to protect our town, our farmland, and our forests. The numbers tell a stark story. If this proposed expansion moves forward, our town will have sacrificed 1,500 acres and will be generating 172 megawatts of power. For perspective, Enfield is the second largest host of solar power, and it generates just 30 megawatts from multiple arrays, while Simsbury is the largest single array that produces only 26 megawatts. We have more than met our contribution to the green energy initiative, far beyond what we should be expected of any town. And yet, another project looms on the horizon, Saltbox Solar LLC, threatening to add another 150 megawatts to our burden. I'm sorry to, if anybody didn't know about this, I'm sorry to bring it forward tonight. But this development would take land on Clark, Chamberlain East, and the subdivision on East and Middle will be facing complete separation from the rest of our community because of the land and where it's located. This is really unacceptable. Our town cannot continue to absorb the impact of this expansion unchecked. Enough is enough. Town leadership plays a crucial role in protecting the character and well-being of our community, particularly when faced with the challenges posed by utility scale solar developments. Collaboration between town officials and residents is essential. As leaders, we must actively engage with citizens through public forums, informational sessions, and transparent decision-making processes. Unfortunately, this level of engagement has been lacking. In my interactions with the selectmen, I have not received responses to even the simplest questions via email. And eventually I stopped asking. Moving
Mr.
forward,
Tisdale, that's 3 minutes. Thank you. You'll have another opportunity again.
okay, I will finish my,
Hand it off to somebody else. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Robin Chesky.
So I'm Robin Chesky, 102 Reservoir Avenue. I am the second individual who helped with forming the East Windsor Citizens for Responsible Solar. I know, Chris, I know what she wanted to finish. I know she sent emails asking for just conversation about solar, many emails, and she does not get a response. So I think one of the things that, I'll talk about a sense of community, is that if we send emails to the first selectman and the board of selectmen, that we assume that we will get an email back. So I'm just going to state that. So here we go with my part. So Gravel Pit Solar is drastically expanding its reach by installing collector lines that connect properties well beyond the original location, effectively redefining what qualifies as an expansion. This raises serious concerns about transparency, accountability, and potential sidestepping of public oversight. The approach appears to be a deliberate attempt to circumvent the necessary petition process for new projects, but passing the public hearing process altogether. Gravel Pit Solar knows what they're doing. They are trying to sidestep us and the town and the siting council. The request and opening of Docket 492 by Gravel Pit Solar does not ensure a public hearing, leaving impacted residents, particularly new abutters, new people to town, without a guaranteed voice in this process. This is a serious issue, and those now directly affected by never a part of the initial discussion will have no opportunity to voice their concerns, potentially leaving their rights unrecognized. I urge you all to acknowledge the gravity of the situation and take decisive action to oppose the reopening. As a town, we must stand firm in protecting the public right to any solar arrays being developed. If reopening is allowed, it will set a dangerous precedent, enabling solar developers to weave collection lines across our community, connecting parcels without giving our citizens the opportunity to weigh in. We must challenge this now before it comes norm. I want to share with you an article that detailing the significant legal victory from the towns of Bridgeport and Fairfield. This can be used against the siting council regarding UI monopoles. The decision marks a powerful win for residents and property owners who stood up against the utilities and the siting council and prevailed. Fairfield State Senator Tony Wong emphasized the importance of this outcome, stating, "The result of this victory reaffirms that the voices of local residents matter and must not be ignored. Let this serve as a reminder, we are not powerless. Together, we have the strength to challenge these decisions that affect our community and to succeed." Thank you.
Mark, what is the date on the article? Was it last week?
Exactly, just printed it out.
Was it last, we don't take action. Was it from last week?
It was from Monday, March 31st.
Okay, thank you. Connecticut Insider, whose publication? Lisa Matson.
East Windsor Board of Selectmen. My name is Lisa Matson and reside at 36 Barber Hill Road, Broadbrook. I have loved living in this town for over 28 years, and I am in a butter to petition 1422 Green Skies Mulline. Based on recent revelations of the gravel pit solar expansion and the hidden leases, clearly the solar developers are taking advantage of our small town's lack of resources. In addition, Connecticut siting with prejudice has allowed over 1,000 acres to be sited in a 3-mile radius with 700 or more planned. Over the years, I have complained on several petitions, including the one that's positioned behind me. We need your help to consider the following items to firm up East Windsor's public and legal solar position. First, we need clear communications by all of you, the East Windsor Town Board of Selectmen, against industrial solar. I ask that you communicate the following. 1, the resolution of the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission grid scale solar dated 4/8/2023. The one that was just posted today, the East Windsor Planning and Zoning regulations for pertaining to ground mounted solar installations dated 4/23/2025, and a former Board of Selectmen statement against industrial solar siting. Please post hard copies in Town Hall and on your website. The East Windsor Z letter dated 2023 is buried online and is only on the Broad Road Solar Petition 1572. Your East Windsor residents, solar developers, and Connecticut siting need to easily find your clear public stance. Second, I ask the East Windsor Board of Selectmen to submit into every approved, pending, completed, and also future Connecticut siting solar petition a copy of the above East Windsor P&Z letters from April 2023 and 2025 for uniform messaging. Third, due to the lack of confidence, I ask for a formal East Windsor solar moratorium effective immediately based on the recent solar fire and proliferation of existing and solar farms proposed. The solar fire on March 11th at Middle and East Road in Broadbrook occurred during extreme winds over a 3-day period. A miracle. No one is injured and no house is damaged. State officials requested it be shut down temporarily. Per Connecticut Siting Council incident report on April 15th, it requests solar fire training to immediate responders. This is incredible. These solar arrays were activated without training or emergency contacts provided, as I had foretold. There should be a formal complaint on every farm that is activated without training and MSDS sheets and owner safety contacts. The final incident report will not be released till November 2025. How many solar farm arrays are active and no emergency responses and training or contact names redacted are provided? This is negligent by multiple Connecticut agencies allowing online activation without safeguards of East Windsor and a warning for their town.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Okay. And I'll merely the record.
Dan Pulaski.
They're having a lot of trouble in the back hearing. Is there a microphone or anything that can be turned up? They can't hear at all.
There is not, but there's still seating available, so people can come in.
I can't. Concerned.
Not a
All
problem.
right, Dan Pulaski, Bryce Street, Broadbrook. If anybody knows me here, they know that I'm not a fan of this solar array.
And I'll call it my 59 years because I'm gonna say that first year I couldn't really see. I've been able to see through look out my dining room window and see through the property across the street. And actually see through the trees because of the solar array. Now, the siting council is, and I implore the townspeople and the board of selectmen to do what we can do to stop the siting council. Because they're gonna steamroll us and the other 168 towns in this state. If you do not like a voice in like the simplest form of government, then let them roll, because we're losing our voice. Any of the emails that I have sent to the siting council have not been responded to anything that one of the kids in the Broadbrook school couldn't have written. And just like Lisa had just stated, when I had asked, I was sent a actual proposed copy. There was none of the foremans, there was nothing. I had to complain that they're working outside the hours of operation. They were from 7 to, I think it was 4 o'clock. Well, they were going until 5:30, 6 o'clock, driving pylons. I could hear them with impacts, clear as day. Okay, well, let's see. How'd they do their study? Yeah, let's see. They had some place over in China do the study on the panels. By the way, the panels are only about 20% effective. Efficient. So out of 1,000 acres, you get about 200 acres. And we'll go on to this next one. It says shiny, go into the 192 docket, look at it, shiny metal wire, shiny metal. And it's just, in their EPA, it was not done by an outside testing firm that was in the United States. And we're gonna trust China? I'm sorry, no politics involved there, but I don't trust them. Let's go on to just simple things like the long-eared brown bat. I know I've had long-eared brown bats pass on my property. You know what? They eat 2,500 mosquitoes a night. Last year, I finally saw two. I get 8 a night. Finally heard a bardol last year, end of last year. Haven't seen crap. The pathway that goes across my yard from different wildlife is completely, is just screwed. And we want to keep this going. The fences aren't going to keep things out. And I'm going to give you this little thing. No farms, no food, no future. There's no way we can Danny Farms down there. They got 40,000 on the table to pull it off. There's no way you can pull off any of that piece of property for 40 grand.
Thank you, Stan.
They won't pull it.
Shaw.
I have a different opinion of the situation than most people. I haven't seen any of the land that's been used for solar taken by eminent domain. So I think we need to take a little bit different tack in addition to what we're doing. These people are, I haven't heard the reasons why they're leasing or selling to solar. Is it cash? Is it, they believe that solar is so great and will not harm the earth whatsoever? I would like to see, particularly the Board of Selectmen, but maybe another committee started in our town to address the fact that these people have alternatives with to use their land for other than leasing and selling to solar. I came from Towland and we started a group there called Conserving Towland. We approached landowners before anybody else did and spoke to them about the uses for their land, what they plan to hand to their family after they pass away. If they would please commit it to open space, and we maintained quite a bit of it. Joshua's Land Trust helped us. And we had a lot of people donated space and allow it to have hiking trails on it. Every time a new piece of property was committed to open space, we would make a, little index card, hiking trails around the property. We had a lot of people in that town, which may differ from East Windsor, but that, wanted outdoor passive recreation. So that was a feather in our cap that we could approach the homeowners with. By the time I left town, we had an 1.5 inch thick, stack of cards we had so many hiking trails on people's open space property. And people were proud to do this. I mean, you know, they're not making millions, they're not making big bucks on the property, but they were proud that they did this with their land, that they committed it to open space, they, you know, served as citizens of their town rather than just get a quick buck off the solar. I think it would be interesting if we did a survey with, I don't know if you guys would be allowed to do it or yeah, citizens could do it. Find out exactly what were the factors that swayed them into signing with solar, because you can't keep blaming the companies. They're coming in, swooping the land up. It's the people that own the land that are, you know, deciding the factor what they're gonna do with it. They're the ones deciding, okay, I'm gonna, and some of them have even solicited the solar companies, come look at my land. So we need to look at that factor in this situation also. We need to continue doing what we're doing, asking help from you guys. What can we do to help to stop this sprawl? But I think, you know, it's the elephant in the room. Nobody's blaming the landowners. Nobody's saying, you know, how can we approach them to sway them?
Thank you, Michelle. Dana Greshik.
Hi, sorry, I don't have a speech. I just kind of came by. Dana Grozik, I own and operate the farm that's currently on all of the land that's proposed for this next site, and I own the land currently in between. Look, I don't know how much you can do about this. I don't know. The state seems to have quite a bit of power in these situations. I think there's a lot of financial realities. The people who are selling the land or leasing the land are getting compensated very, very well. I've seen the offers, I've received them myself. I just came here to maybe offer a solution. I think the only way forward is to offer up a little bit, make some kind of really specific offers towards conservation from the town and the state, because at this point, farmland is it's not really affordable anymore. I've been buying farmland in this town as much as I can for somebody else with more money than me comes along, which is happening now. But at this point, I don't really see a lot of future for any younger farmers than myself. I bought the land when I bought the land for a decent price, but at current prices, I really don't see how the next generation is going to break into farming, because the bank's not going to give them a loan. It's just too much money. You really can't afford it. So, I mean, maybe, I guess if you had millions of dollars in your back pocket, sure, you can get in, but you're probably not jumping into farming when you got that kind of money. So I think whether this happens or not, I mean, I'm prepared for it. It's fine. I mean, that's business. The people who own the land. They have a right to do what they want with the land. I don't begrudge anybody involved, that people at the solar company too. It's honestly, it's just business. But if you want to conserve what's left in the town, then I think a big push needs to be made towards conservation. And honestly, the only way to really do that is to be competitive with these solar companies. And that means good offers. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Some towns, I don't know what it is here, but yeah, you're not going to outpay them. I know that. So it's if you can convince somebody who cares about the property already, put it in conservation, I think you have a chance at least preserving what's left. What's happened already, I don't know. This may go through, and I don't know if there's anything any of us can do about it. I made an offer. I tried to buy it. I got outbid. That's how it works. It's you just move on. But maybe we can talk in the future. If you talk to the state, I can maybe explain the financials of all this going on, because I have a lot of knowledge about, I bought all of this. So I'd like to talk to someone at the state about the future, because as far as I know, this is an agricultural community, and In about 30 years, it's not gonna be. I'll tell you that right now. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Clinton Williams.
Time I get recognized for something. All right, my name is Quentin Williams. I have been a taxpayer resident for 23 years in Broadbrook. I stand here in full opposition of all solar farms for the following reasons. There is no benefit to this town. They are an eyesore. They don't get noise. They see toxic chemicals into the ground such as zinc, lead, arsenic. The home value drops or tax dollars still go up. Many have wells that could be contaminated from these toxins. They are a lightning magnet. They chase wildlife out of the area. That's a fact. Solar farms are a big scam. I did a lot of serious research on solar farms. Solar farms will come out there. Do not think, I'm gonna ask the question, and I don't want to answer it. Did you not think that this wasn't gonna be a problem to us, the taxpayer here? Yeah, right. The train wreck in Ohio wasn't a problem either. Thank you.
Steve Dearborn.
My time start when I get up there or when I'm talking.
I started it before I called your name.
Right, that parking lot.
Go ahead. Take it over.
Money. Money. Okay, I sat on a board of selectmen. You're gonna hear me. I couldn't hear half the people up here for my years of job and the equipment. But it's about the money. I sat on that board of selectmen for 3 terms. They came before us to put these solar panels up. They asked us for tax breaks. No. I said to the guy, I said, you come here and you ask us for tax breaks? I said, you're telling me you're not making enough money to pay the taxes? Then get the hell out. They went away. Okay. Now, what I'm being told, I was just notified about this, what's going on here tonight, a couple days ago. I used to farm 500 acres around here. And it's making me sick to see what's going on. It shouldn't be happening. But I'm going to say some stuff. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I'm going to the tax collector to find out. From what I understand, these people they're in here for $50,000 a year in taxes because they got a break. The equipment supposedly that's on the solar farm over here was supposed to bring in $1.1 million. So that's 50,000 off of that. If I figure right, it's 1,500,000 bucks a year, right? Somewhere right there, okay. For 10 years. So the way I see it, I had $11 million stolen from me. Now we say we can't stop it because of this thing down here in Hartford or wherever. Because I'm not following it anymore. When I got kicked out of here, I said, screw it, I'm done. Taking care of me and not the town. But now I'm pissed. So that means we all got screwed out of $11 million. Now, from what I understand, the taxes they want to approve here is going to be like 5 point something. Which the board, I guess, is shooting for like 2.4. But the state's going to give us the rest of the money. So what happens after this year if they say, well, we don't have the money because they're going to blame it on Trump anyway, you know that. So are we up to pay the other rest of it to come to 5 point something after they create all the extra programs and pay raises and everything else? Okay, think about that when you come in to vote here on the budget, all right? But if
Thank you, Mr. Dearborn.
huh?
Thank you very much.
That's it?
That's it.
Want me to say more? Anyway, got $11 million because of the tax things,
Mark Lilly et al.
but when we said no tax abatements, they went away. So if they can't make the state stop it, they could have stopped it by not giving the tax.
Steve, your time is up.
If there's anything wrong, I want to know.
We'll correct. Mark Lilly et al, please. After? Okay. That concludes the folks who have signed up initially. There is going to be a second opportunity for public participation. Again, if there are seats available, please try and make them available so anybody in the hallway can come in. I am going to now ask for a motion to take up agenda item 8A, which is a presentation by Attorney DiCrescenzo and also by Attorney Jesse Langer, who's with us on the call, to talk about the gravel pit solar petition expansion and what that process is. Attorney DiCrescenzo, how you doing?
So moved.
Made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. All right, so Bob, you're here, Jesse's on Zoom.
Jason, you announce this relationship.
So, Attorney DiCrescenzo can introduce himself, but he is a partner at the law firm of Updike, Kelly and Spellacy, who represents the town on energy-related matters. He's also, he's got almost 3 decades of experience as a municipal attorney, and he's the former mayor of East Hardin. I hate to age you, but I think I got it right. Sorry. So, where are we? Can you explain what is happening so that people get a sense of that? What has happened and what our options are moving forward?
Yes, thank you. And Jesse's on the screen. I'll speak as loud as I can. Generally pretty soft-spoken, but I'll do my best. A couple of days ago, the application was filed at Connecticut Siting Council, gravel pit solar. It's on the docket. You can all get to it if you just Google Connecticut Siting Council. The pull-down menu you want to look for is pending application, pending matters. Find it right away. And it's a good website. We have our problems with the Siting Council generally, but their website is pretty good in terms of having all the documents on there, and you can keep track of the application every day on the website, and every document that goes in towards that application will be listed on. Long story short, the action item tonight for the Board of Selectmen is to authorize us, firm of Updike, Kelly and Spellacy, to file a petition for party status to represent the town of East Windsor in opposing the gravel pit solar expansion. That's what we will do tomorrow if there's a positive vote tonight. And I suspect there will be. And you probably are aware of the Siting Council and how they do their business, statutes that control the Siting Council. I like to compare it to 8-30G. You've all heard of that, where developers and affordable housing can come in and override local zoning, whether you like it or not. Well, the Siting Council procedures are very similar to that. They override local zoning, local regulation, all in an effort by the Connecticut legislature to pursue the goal of green energy. The unintended consequence of that is the what you're seeing here in East Windsor, where these solar arrays, which are very large, very industrial looking, pop up in farmland areas. And our experience with solar arrays, I'm also the counsel for the town of Simsbury and dealt with a very large solar array out there. And we opposed it in front of the Siting Council on behalf of the town. We sued the developer. We got some very, very good concessions from the developer, donation of land and some other things. But that was out in Simsbury. Here we have a different story. We have a very large array already with a proposal to expand it and exacerbate the problem. At this point, I'll turn it over to Jesse, who's looked at everything very carefully in depth. He will tell you what our process is, how we're gonna go forward, and work on your behalf.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Bob, and good evening, everyone. And I've been here and I've listened since the beginning of the meeting, and I've heard all of the the statements from the public and understand where everyone's coming from. So I just want to make that clear.
Louder, it's not real.
You talk louder.
Does he have a mic or a headset? You can talk.
Okay.
Don't you want to?
Hi. Yes. So I was just saying, I've been listening in since the beginning of the meeting, and I've heard all of the public comments and understand where everyone's coming from. And so I'll just give a little more detail of the process and where things stand right now and what our options are. And so, as Bob said, there was a filing that was made just a few days ago. And the developer is looking to expand upon the existing facility significantly. And so what they filed is what's called a motion to reopen the docket under which they received the initial approval. And so there's an extensive narrative, and they're essentially what they're saying they're doing is petitioning the council for the issuance of a modification of the project. And so the council has acknowledged the receipt of that motion and the materials submitted in support of that modification. And so the council intends to take up the motion to reopen during its regular meeting on May 15th. And so that's a regular meeting of the Siting Council. They typically meet twice a month. And although the public can watch the meeting, there's no public participation, and that includes the applicant. So it's really just the council deliberating. And so what the council will decide is whether they want to reopen the proceedings. And so it's a two-step process. First, they have to decide whether they want to grant the motion to reopen. And then the second step is more substantive. And they can decide to grant whatever it was that was proposed. They can deny it. They can set the matter down for additional proceedings, which is typically a hearing. And so that's where they are procedurally. And so what can the town do? What can interested persons or people do? They can seek to become a party or an intervener, which is what Bob had just said that we can do. And then you can participate in any proceedings that occur before the council. And so another option is to request a hearing, right? Because at the moment, at least according to the filing, the applicant is suggesting that there isn't a need for a hearing. And so that would be something that the town can do. And although it's not guaranteed, the council does often grant a request for a hearing, particularly when it's submitted by a municipality. So that would certainly be something that we would recommend. And if that happens and the council schedules a hearing, then there will be a whole process that ensues where there may be interrogatories, which are written questions from the council, and all sorts of information provided. The town, as a party, if approved, which it should be by statute, would be able to participate fully and robustly in that process, which can include exhibits, witnesses, and that sort of thing. So that is really what the process is. And so, as Bob said, we've represented municipalities in the past, in these types of proceedings. And again, the the siting council's jurisdiction preempts local zoning, land use regulations. And so really, it's all in the hands of the council. And what we can try to do is to put forward all of your concerns, your serious concerns, your legitimate concerns, and present evidence that demonstrates why the proposal should be denied or otherwise modified or reduced, that sort of thing.
And you
So-
can, thank you, Jesse.
Yes.
If we're retained tonight to take this on, we will take this on behalf of the town of East Windsor as an entity. What you can do as citizens is you can write everything you said tonight individually, write letters to the council and submit it to the siting council, and they'll put it on the docket. And, you know, all the arguments we heard tonight, all the concerns we heard tonight, as much as it's great to tell your board of selectmen, the audience that matters is the siting council. You've got to say the same thing with the same forcefulness to the siting council in written correspondence. You also, as citizens, have the right to seek status as either a party or intervener. Now, what's the difference? As a party, you're a full participant in the proceeding. As an intervener, it's sort of a lower step, but you still participate, but you don't have the right to appeal any decision. And it's not something you need a lawyer. You can file a petition on your own behalf, become a party and intervener, and you will get a seat at the table, so to speak, council. We will be there. The vote is positive tonight, representing your town. You also have the ability to take the same steps we will take to have your own voice heard. Now, it's a little harder as an individual to be granted party status, slightly easier intervener status. You'll have to show how you are individually affected. And I heard some things tonight that sound very powerful to me, the individual effect on you. But we should express all of that to the council because they are the decision maker. We all wish that wasn't the case, but that's state law. That's what we're dealing with. We've dealt with this as a firm, Jesse and I, all over the state. Same problems, same issues with the siting council. They are not very, and I'll just say it, they're not very public friendly, in my view. They really are. We've handled applications most recently under lock. Excuse me, Granby, you probably followed that battery matter. And that's under appeal right now. So make your voice heard. Great to tell you board of selectmen, but I think they got your message. And that's what we will do.
So if I could just, can you explain the difference to the extent that there is a difference in terms of the eyes of the siting council between the municipality becoming a party, abutters, and then other interested parties? Are they all viewed as the same or?
The town as a municipality has the greatest weight and the biggest voice as an entity because, you know, you are uniform. And the siting council takes that very seriously. You know, but you as individual residents or butters have the most say because next to you. But you will have to show how this proposal, if approved, will affect you individually. Noise, whatever you have identified to the board of selectmen, tell the council about. They need to hear it. We need to hear from people as well as the town. And more people do it, the stronger the message.
Bob, if I could just add, there are forms online for those who want to, submit, petitions to become a party or an intervener. And so they're fairly straightforward and don't, like, as Bob said, it doesn't require an attorney to represent you in that regard. So I would just encourage those who feel that they have an interest, a legal interest, or otherwise have an interest that would allow them to participate as a intervener to consider utilizing, those forms and making filings.
Where would those forms be found?
On the website.
CSC website?
Siting
Yeah,
put in CP Siting Council, Google that. First thing, the CP Siting Council, Google that, the first thing that comes up, what you call it, I call it the thing. Click on that, it'll bring you to the website. Then you want to look at, pending matters, pending open petitions, what is it?
Yep.
Pending matters.
So if I could make a suggestion in that regard, if Jesse could email the link to those forms to me, we can put them on, we have a radio button on the town website about solar facts.
Yep.
We can add a link right there so people can just click on that and
Right.
find access to it.
I don't know, are they form fill or do you have to print them out?
I believe you have to print them out. At least the last time I checked, I believe so. But either way, I'll provide that information, that link to
Right.
to the Board of Selectmen.
Jason, a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
So Bob, this is like deja vu all over again. Well, Thrall Road, there were a lot of people, like a dozen or more people, including myself, asked for a hearing, testified to the siting council, gave them lots of correspondence. A lot of people came out for that. They asked questions. They said, what has your town done for the planning of conservation of development? So you're telling us that we don't want solar? And the answer was none, nothing. What have you done for zoning to show us that as a community, you don't want solar? None. What have you done to name historic roads or scenic roads? None. What have you done for ordinances? None. You were there. You were the attorney that represented us. They asked us through testimony, not me, they asked our government officials, what has this town done to show that it doesn't want solar? And the answer was none. And quite honestly, now, Bob, we're here like 2 years later, and the answer is none. And so we're going to get the same result. I guarantee it. Because they want to know as a community, Bob, that we are opposed, that we're taking steps as a community. And so to say that we have no control is, I think, a fallacy. Because what it does essentially, it says it's just exactly what they want as a siting council. They want people to, and we have to do this, by the way. I'm not saying don't do it. They want us to submit public comments. They want us to testify. They want the town to file for intervener status. They want the town to oppose it because they have to. And they're going to vote for it. They've done it for almost every solar project in the state. They're not going to stop here. And we filed an appeal, Bob. You were the attorney. And then like, within, I don't know, it was a year after the appeal was filed, the town ends the appeal. Because what did we get? We got some different trees, we got some different buffer, we got some different something this, something that, instead of putting it in front of a judge, Bob, and saying, Judge, you decide if the siting council did its job properly, because we're gonna make these developers jump through hoops and work hard. We just, as a community, said, we're gonna end this appeal. We're gonna make some concessions. So we got different kinds of trees. We got local trees instead of non-native trees. We got some other buffer. We got a fence. Bob, why don't we just form a town commission? Board of Selectmen form a commission. Board of Selectmen members, planning and zoning members, members of the public. We need to get the current information about these projects. When it's coming to the town, we need to have everybody that has ideas, including ordinances to stop this, come together, and we need to fight it through every means possible, Bob. Instead of just saying we're going to go through the siting council, which is it's a rubber stamp. It's gonna happen unless we fight this. The thing is, like ISO, I want to ask you a question. ISO New England is where Eversource filed in last September for its generator request. The Eversource has to go to this company called ISO New England that regulates the grid. They filed for a generator request and they filed for Saltbox Solar. 120 megawatts, just as big as the gravel pit solar. 120 megawatts, 400,000 panels, okay, over in Windsorville. That went in September. How come the town didn't know about it? Or does the town know about these things when they went to ISO New England back in September? And then they filed a generator request, I'm sure, for the expansion for gravel pit solar before it went in. They had to. How come the town doesn't know about it? I want to have a commission that's going to that's going to be required through an ordinance that the town gets current information from the town government receives on all of these projects before, as it comes due. We need board of selectmen, we need planning and zoning, we need members of the public, we need farmers, we need business owners. And honestly, if the board of selectmen, I'm hoping we're going to do this, inform this, so we can come up with ideas, including ordinances, to stop it. If we can't, we can petition for ordinances. We can create a commission on our own. This is a town meeting form of government. Here he is right here. We're the legislative body in this town. We have a right through charter to do what we want. We should form our own commission through an ordinance, if we have to do something about this. Because and God bless Steve Dearborn, we disagree on politics. It's good. You know, he'd take his shirt off his back to help anybody in this community. All right, for that guy. He knows what farming is. He said here tonight, he came in here, he's got it right. You know, we need to fight all of this. Make them jump through hoops, make them spend money, stop them. And if we can't stop them, we did the good fight. Respectfully, Bob, council, this telling to communities to do what they're doing at siting council is a necessity, but it's a foregone conclusion. We're like sheep going through the process of being butchered, quite honestly. I hate to put it that way, but that's what's happening. And they want us to do this, and they're giving us hope. And the only hope we have is to enact ordinances, planning and zoning regulations, fine people, tax people, okay? Tax them as much as you can, make them come here and know they're gonna pay through the nose if they're gonna put solar on here, not get any breaks. And that's my feeling about it. I want to get a commission formed by the board of selectmen ASAP that's going to do this for us as a community. And you will. And one more thing. I'm not grandstanding. I've been involved in this for 2 years. I was doing this 2 years ago before I became a selectman. I live in Broadbrook. I moved to this community because of the beautiful historic nature of our town. No matter what anybody says, this is a beautiful community, all right? And I've been doing this for 2 years. I got on this board so I could do this, okay? So we could stop this. So if we can't get this done, you're gonna be seeing me asking for petition. Me and some other people gonna be petitioning to get an ordinance so we can get this commission, because we can do this as a community. This is our town. Nothing against the board of selectmen. They're gonna support this.
Like people right now.
We can. It's gotta go on the agenda. We have to form it. We have to have it written out. Okay?
If you knew that all of this stuff needed to get done, why has it gotten to this extreme point for any of this to be heard?
I've been asking for it for 2 years. If you look at what I've been saying, what I've been posting, what I've been asking for, this has been 2 years constant. I have videos online. I've been posting videos of everything that's been going on in this town. I was walking around on a Pocketary Road, right, posting videos of exactly what's coming and what's happening.
I mean,
So
if anybody has a Jason.
there's going to be an opportunity for public participation once we get done with the attorneys. But I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to explain what the legal processes are while they're here. So Bob,
That's
do you
not
have a
on.
response to what Keith said?
Yes, I mean, first of all, every application is different, and we have to scrutinize the site, the application, and what is the best strategy. Any type of local input that we can bring to bear is good. Having expert witnesses speak on behalf of the town is also a very wise step, because they'll have their own experts. We hire ours to counteract their own experts. That's another good step, but having town input to things like Keith is talking is definitely helpful. I will say that the siting council has received a great deal of criticism over the last 2 years. You may have seen the article in the Harvard Current, I think it was, that cited the percentage of approvals by the siting council. Jesse, maybe you know this number more than I do, something like 95%. 95%. Keith is right. It's a council that is geared towards approving applications. Do you know the exact number, Jesse?
I do not, but it is very high. I would, yeah.
Really, problem is with state legislature. So like having standards, statute that allow them to override, blanket override all of the ordinances and regulations. Keith is correct. The more you can pass local enactments that are clearly show an antipathy towards more solar, you've done your part here in East Windsor, I think. What did you tell me the other day?
Better than 30%,
30% of all solar
all in state. Yeah.
in the state is in East Windsor. It's what we call municipal overburden. You hear a lot about municipal overburden in the urban areas. They get all the hospitals, they get all the trash plants, and there's a version of municipal overburden going on right now in communities all over the state, like East Windsor. That's because of the nature of the land, the beautiful farmland that should stay farmland. These solar companies are coming to them and taking advantage of that. It's perfect. These sites are perfect for solar arrays, right? I mean, they're flat, they're clear, they're easy to build on, they're close to the grid. You know, but it's up to the state and siting council to protect the communities that they represent. If they represent public agencies, they represent you as well. Just doesn't seem like that.
Sarah.
Just for clarification, what Keith is proposing to do at the local level with ordinances, are those actually enforceable by the town? Because doesn't the state override the town in situations like this?
The state overrides the town, but it would be evidence of municipal intent. It's not a slam dunk, it's not a trump card, but it would be evidence of municipal intent. To the extent you can do things like that, I think you should study it.
Right.
Yeah, I just find that a little disturbing because the siting council has been seeing numerous documentation from people in this town, numerous documentation from selectmen in town. They know how we stand. We have Chris Stoll's group been out there actively talking out against it. They know that. And Stoll, they want a one-page ordinance that's going to override hundreds that you should have stockpiled and look at. And the other thing that I found disturbing that gentleman stated was that the applicant decided that they didn't need to pursue a hearing, and that weighs a lot, I believe is the word he used. Just because they don't feel there's a need to do it, why is that going to weigh more heavily on the decision by the site of council than the people that actually live in the town where it's happening?
Well, the council hasn't acted on that request yet. And,
Right, but they sent out the letter April 17th, I believe is the date of the letter. They just announced today that they've accepted it, and now on the 15th, which is 2 weeks away, and you got to take a form offline, fill out, send in, and hope that they get it through the internal mail that takes 9 days to get through anything in the state. The hearing is already going to take place. I know for me, I'd like to be there on the 15th, but I've already got flight tickets to go out of state that I can't change. Is there any way to postpone that meeting
it's
to give time?
It's available on Zoom. You can participate remotely. Like the only way to remotely. I don't know if you'll be in the airplane at the time, but wherever you are, you can at least follow along.
So to just offer a point of clarity to what I think Marie was just getting to, and I'm not sure I understood this either. So the hearing on the 15th is, the proceeding on the 15th, it's not a hearing, proceeding on the 15th is only for the siting council to decide whether or not to reopen the petition. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what happens after that?
So then they'll schedule whatever process. Jesse, what do you maybe lay out?
Right. So if they grant the motion to reopen, typically what happens is they would then either grant the substantive request that's in the motion to reopen, in this case would be the modification, or they would set the matter down for additional proceedings. And it's likely that given the size of this project, the council's probably going to have questions. They typically will issue, written questions called interrogatories, right? So there should be some degree of proceedings involved, even if there's not a hearing. And so there would be an opportunity for the town to get involved in that process. Additionally, of course, if we were to file a request for a hearing, that's something, and we were to do that soon, that would be something the council would have to take up or take under consideration. So essentially, if they grant the motion to reopen, they're going to either grant the substantive relief, which is the modification, or they're going to set it up for additional proceedings.
So at this point, as of May 1st, is it now allowable for someone to petition to become a party? Or does that have to wait until after the meeting on the 15th?
No, you'd want to do it as soon as possible.
Okay, and if the proceedings on the 15th opt to open the petition, how long do people have to file for party status? When is it too late to file?
So it depends. Typically, what happens is that you have a period of time before a hearing, which will, it's usually, I think, 7 days for a party and 5 days for an intervener. So there's typically time, but the way that I would approach it is that we want to get as many filings on the record, so to speak, before the 15th, so that the council is aware of the serious concerns that the town and its citizens have.
So for the benefit of the people in the room, then, it would be in the interest of the objective, which is to prevent the project, to flood the end zone now.
Yes,
Okay.
15th is 2 weeks from today.
Can I ask the attorney a question?
It's up to him.
So in addition to doing whatever people have to do online, to be a party or an intervener or whatever, and to request a hearing. So I know how IT works. So you need to have everything online, but I'm sure we can still also print out a copy, get in our car, drive to headquarters and to the siting council headquarters, which would be the first time I've done it, and hand deliver to their office. I want to make absolutely positive this gets into docket, whatever. You can
Yes,
still do that. As well.
Absolutely. It sounds like you've done it.
And then you don't have to allow that. And we can have people who I'd be happy to take other people's with mine. Like we could, we could pull it together. We could hand deliver after you do your online thing. But also I want to say one more thing. And I respect your credentials and your background and your firm. But I do have something to say. You said that the municipality is the strongest voice to the siting council. And with all due respect, I believe it was your firm that sent the letter in opposition to this recent request to expand. And I just reading it, it seemed like, I don't mean to offend anybody. It seemed like a legal form letter. There was no passion. There was no, this community is, if I'm saying it correctly, vehemently opposed. We are inundated, and between all of our homes are massive fields of solar panels and more coming. And we want a public hearing. Because if you're the only voice who can get through to them quick enough on our behalf, and apparently there's some vote here tonight regarding your firm, then we want a fighter. And I'm not saying you're not a fighter, but we don't want to be where you're the surgeon and we're just another knee surgery. We want to be that this is our homes, this is our life. I mean, the whole quality of my life, and I'm a very positive person, I'm sure I'm not the only one, has suffered so badly over this whole thing. Our home is our solace, and it's being ripped away. So we want a fighter. We want a fighter in our board of selectmen, our first selectmen, our attorney. We don't just want a rubber stamp. We did our job, we can't fight the siting council. Sure you can. Did anybody ever watch the whole Aaron Brockovich thing? Sure you can. I tried to track her down.
Point well taken. We will express as best we can your passion, your concerns, and the level to which you want to fight.
I appreciate that. I wanted to be your firm's passion on behalf of us. You know, I want it like, I want your letter on our behalf because you represent our municipality. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Because you're not sending, I don't see letters from our board, it's from you, on our behalf. So we want this letter to like, it's not just, oh, there's another attorney fighting for another town. And we want passion. Because we are reading the stuff online, we are seeing the letters that are sent. I was not impressed, I'm sorry, I just was not impressed.
You're not
So-
suggesting that we send a request for hearing, public hearing, until they have agreed, because they may not reopen it.
No, they might actually bless it that day.
Well, I know, but if you send a letter saying we want a hearing, then you're automatically telling them it's okay to reopen it.
We can argue in the alternative. We can say, we don't want you to reopen it, we don't want you, but in the event that you do,
Okay.
that's what we'll do.
Right.
We'll be sure to express the passion on your behalf.
Of the whole community.
So with that thought in mind,
That we fought against the nuclear dump some 20-odd years ago with Ellington and South Windsor. I remember that. Do you? I do. And now we're being hit with this now? Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, that's when the siting council was in its infancy, was over that. Yeah, they were infants, all right. And that's, so, and now it's like, they're Goliath and we're David. How much are we gonna take? Who's their boss?
Governor.
Bob,
Attorney DiCrescenzo, I think you had a motion you need us to make to authorize you guys to move forward. Can you help us with the wording of that?
Yes, authorize, mention, we're already.
You guys are already retained.
Yeah, authorize the firm of Updike Owens Pelosi, take all action necessary and appropriate to intervene in the matter of gravel. Solar, applications before the siting council.
Sarah?
Get that?
Now, one thing to add, for Fairfield, who just went against the Connecticut Siting Council. I'm gonna ask respectfully that Updike and Cali join with the winning attorneys that won with Fairfield. For David Dodd and the Conan rule. So I was hoping that perhaps that maybe you could add the two law firms together, because this is imperative, we stop them now. Put them both together, get, boost your strengths,
Sure.
your strengths and weaknesses together and position them at a 1-2 punch. You hit them low and they hit them high. And then, along with the rest of the residents, we join and we place our comments and our request for intervene or whatever status that we want. Thank you very much, Attorney Bond.
So on the 15th, that we require you to do this. On the 15th, if the city council just ignores everything that they received, they go ahead and open it up. I'm a believer, once it's opened up, to get it to stop, probably going to be useless. It's not going to happen. So how do we get it on the 15th? For them to accept the fact that we don't want it reopened. Because I have to assume that property has been purchased already or has been leased already. I'm assuming that they've already had discussions with the city council previously. So what can we really do to stop it? That's my concern.
Certified letter, return receipts from.
Right,
Send one every day so they get their.
Can I have the floor, please? I respected you. Please give me the same courtesy. When the governor, that's his baby on the table, for solar, and they're following his lead. So this is the problem that I'm having. Are we fighting something that we really don't have any control over? Are we just going through the motions? that we've already gone through. We're going through it again. I don't mind going through the motions again if we're gonna get an outcome, but it's tax dollars that we're spending.
We can't guarantee an outcome, no attorney can,
I understand that.
but over the course of the last year, Mayor Fairfield mentioned there are other instances around the state.
Yeah.
Where applications to the citing council have been denied. I'm not saying, not guaranteeing that here, but there is a developing strategy that one you cited and some others of attacking specific things within an application that are favorable to get a denial. So look, we will fight as hard as you want us to fight on your behalf with as much passion as I'm hearing tonight.
Ernie,
Because
is there any right of taxpayer or town to appeal any decision of this council?
if you are a party to the proceeding, you have the right of appeal.
As a taxpayer, don't you have that?
That's why it should apply to be a party. That would give you individually the right of appeal. The town, same thing, parties can appeal.
But that third group, they can't appeal?
Interveners cannot appeal. And,
Right.
So that's why it's imperative that the town become a party to preserve the right of appeal, even if the citing council gives a deaf ear to the town. There is a superior court appeal to their decision, and what our job is, make sure that we get enough in the record before the citing council to have a strong appeal.
So that statistic that you spoke about, I think 95%, is that the council's ability to proceed with this, with these projects?
That's the council approval rate.
So any town or party that wished to appeal that decision, that was only 5%?
No, that's, of all the petitions filed, 95 out of 100 get approved. That doesn't,
95 out of 100.
yeah, that doesn't talk about what happens after approval, which is an appeal. I don't know the statistic of that.
You don't know the appeal, okay.
Bob, can I just make a point too? I just wanted to mention when Bob said that the town has the strongest voice, the point really was that the town will have the strongest position from a procedural perspective to make certain arguments. And so it's not that they have, the passion that the people have, I think is extremely important. It was just a point of who has the strongest position to become a party and to carry, to carry this forward. And so I just wanted to make that clear. And also just keep in mind that the projects down, if I understand, in the Fairfield and Bridgeport involve UI, right? And those are, transmission lines. And so not that the success of the municipalities should not be considered at all. I just have to keep in mind that they're very different projects with different standards. And so what we want to do is which is why having experts and the town's ability to make these arguments, you want to address the standards that the council is going to consider in deciding this filing. And so the council's going to look at the potential adverse effects, right? And so some of the folks who spoke today brought up some issues, whether it's wells and otherwise, these fires, that sort of thing, all public safety, all of those issues can be raised before the council, and you just want to provide as much evidence as you can to hit those points and to erode away at at this particular project. So I just wanted to make those points.
Hey, Jason, on your motion, the motion to appoint the attorneys, I'd like to ask the Board of Selectmen if we can amend the motion to allow the attorney to provide, say, an associate to provide assistance for residents in getting their applications in quickly here, so that we would have some of the legal resources. I'm not saying spend, someone gets $10,000 worth of legal services, but for 1 or 2 hours, if people want to have somebody review it or someone make sure it's filed properly, the attorney can help us with this. Would the board of selectmen be open to having a law firm assist residents with getting their applications processed and completed timely?
Or is that something your firm could do? Is there a conflict concern there?
We can't provide legal advice to anyone but our client. We can guide the public resources necessary to exercise their own legal rights and provide a template guidance, through the town. That'd be us providing it to the town and the town making it available. Aware, we can't have an attorney-client relationship with individuals with public, but I think we can accomplish the same goal by providing guidance and advice to our client, which would be the town. We're happy to do that. We want to make it as easy for you all. These legal documents are, if you don't work over them every day, it's like motor vehicle documents, they're very confusing.
Well,
These are not bad.
Yes. So one thing the community could do, we could get a group of 5 or 6 people that would volunteer to review anybody's application that they want to file if we can't get the attorney to do it. And then we could help proofread or help with people are having trouble coming up with it. And we could help as a group. And then maybe the town attorney could provide a template to make it easier. But if the goal is that we've got to get these things in quickly and they should be powerful and impactful, let's make it that way. And so, yeah, I'd like to see the attorney. I hear what you're saying about not being able to cross over. You don't have created a conflict, attorney-client, a conflict of interest. But if we had a process, if you gave the town a template and someone could come in to someone, a representative here in the town that understood the process, and they said, Jason, they could make an appointment, come in for 20 minutes or half an hour, and the person that's trained in town could guide them through the process and maybe even help them upload it online. And if people need proofreading, we can get people together to help with that. But the town can work with the residents, I think, to be able to make sure that these things get done. They're powerful, persuasive, effective, and they get done and filed on time.
And when you're doing this, sure to focus on your individual. But Frank's argument.
The people that are directly impacted by what happened already and what's coming. Like, you guys are huge. Because you're surrounded by it and there's more on your docket.
Well, didn't they get a letter mailed that people weren't correctly?
No.
It's not. You need to do. Yeah.
Right, all of us get that. Right.
It's from, yes.
What's the definition of an abutter? You're talking about.
Next to it.
Across the street, we're on Barber Hill. But there's a.
No.
Yeah, it's foolish, but you're on the other side of the street.
Touches the property of the proposed site, you're in a bar.
But if you're across the street, you're still looking at it, so it's gonna impact people. So yeah, like
Anybody in this room can send letters, they can make their voice heard. But the strongest ones, he's saying, our municipality, the attorney, our board of selectmen, and those that are directly impacted, and then all the rest of us. There's power in numbers, no matter where you live. So I would do it if
There was somebody here that said, spoke and said something about affecting wells. Well, our well is already affected by from across the street, there's nothing stuck on our well. So this is an additional, so wouldn't that make us feel better?
Well, you don't. So eventually.
Definitely impacted for sure. We all love it.
Stop.
Just one thing.
So while we're talking, I went to the Siting Council website and I added all the live links to their website where you can find all the information. It's all PDF. You all individually have to file it. I'll add it to the minutes and I'll try to post it tomorrow. And it also provides a phone number that each of you can call and already reserve a spot to be in that May 15th hearing. Everything will be there so you can It's all gonna be there. I already added all the information.
There's no disrespect, but, through previous involvements I've had with different organizations and stuff, templates don't work. As soon as they read the first line and they say, oh, that's a fill in the name, that's fill in the comments, doesn't work. You're better off writing your own letter yourself. It has a lot more meaning. I don't care if you spelled that wrong. They don't care if that's spelled wrong. They want to hear from you, the individual, and what it is. You may not be in the butter, but ma'am, it's right across the street. You're gonna hear, you're gonna see what you didn't buy. Put it in writing to them. So make it your own. Whatever is going through your mind and what you brought you here today, put it in writing, send it to the siting council. That's gonna be more to them coming from you than it is from coming from me, coming from him, or coming from Keith. It's your words. I can't guarantee they're gonna read them, but I would hope they do. But make it your own. And start working on it tonight because it's coming quickly.
So are you ready for a motion?
I have a question. So, you know, Rapid Solar is under a tax abatement strategy, right? So stabilization. So my question to you is that they're reopening this and they're taking all these different parcels. Will this new entity that they form, will it fall under that tax abatement or tax strategy?
No.
Is that what they're trying to do here?
I don't,
It's parcel specific.
Yeah.
It will not.
It will not.
It will not.
Jason, I think we need a legal opinion on that because when I read it, even though they list parcels and says this project consists of these parcels, it also says that that when the rating of gravel pit solar changes, the taxes are changed in directly proportion to the original piece. It wasn't clear. We need a legal opinion on this.
I think that's what their strategy is. That's why they're doing this, is so that they can fall under that tax strategy.
Right.
Instead of having to file separate petitions that would create new tax revenue. They know what they're doing. We need to outsmart them. That's exactly what they're doing.
And I think what we should be,
take a look at that.
and you know, we could be proactive and tell them, because I actually think that they, that you could be right. I mean, we might be right because they're going outside of the scope of the original parcels. We should send them a letter now, if it's true, if it legally is true, and say, listen, we're putting you on notice. You're gonna pay the going rate. You're not getting that abatement. And that's our position. We should tell them now before they go through this process and have a legal fight over that too, if they want to take us to court on that. But again.
Let them be on board.
Right.
They could go the other way with that too.
Before you give your vote, I just want to say one last thing. Years ago, whatever. You sat Phil and Jason in your office, or we were all up in a room together. All your research, and Lisa, and all the massive research you did about things like this, about these caveats they were trying to find. And I believe you found them very helpful at the time because you did use a lot of that to our benefit. And I want to suggest, I don't need to offer them and all their good work, but these three ladies right here specifically, if you have an opportunity to meet with them, I think it would definitely.
We did that last time.
Yes, it was years ago. There's a lot more that we learned. And I think they have helped tremendously. I mean, they obviously pay for what they do. And I think it would help you a lot. I think it would help all of us. Like Chris, Robin, and Lisa, be part of the conversation with you.
Obviously.
Marie.
And just one more thing for the public, and again, no disrespect to anyone, like Facebook, you can post whatever you want on Facebook. If I belong to that Facebook page, I may see it, I may not see it. It's not, for me, it serves me no purpose, Facebook. With what I have got on personally, I stay up at nighttime purposely to see it, and I'm exhausted. Facebook is not the way. It's got to be emails coming. I don't know where your emails went that you claimed you sent to us. I didn't get any.
I didn't send it.
All right, because you indicated that it came to the select The board, I didn't get any, but that's not how it was interpreted to me, so thank you for that clarification, because I certainly would respond, if I could. If not, I would come to the board. Yeah, but send the email if you have a concern. Facebook, you may see it, you may not see it, and if I respond to her because I like her, and I don't respond to her because I don't like her, it becomes a political issue, and we don't want that. The last thing I want is this to turn political, because it's already been political enough. And I don't want to read Facebook when I'm being degraded, the rest of this board is being degraded. It shuts me right off. And you guys are right. I appreciate all you all coming out. I have my reds because this is all I have, and my browns for the soil. Because I support you. I don't support the manner in which we got to where we are today. We should have been here a year ago. And the reason why I shut myself down is because the one meeting that I attempted to attend, I was ridiculed by people in this room without getting into it because it's the path you move forward. I don't want to ever have to feel that way, that I took my time to go out and sit and to see what you have to do, because I'm not an expert in solar. You never said I was. I'll never apologize for the decision that I made individually for the original gravel pit solar, because it was the right thing, in my opinion, for East Windsor. What happened there in the continuation, I support you. It's wrong. And like Jason said, we're 30%. We've said that before. We're in it together. But I don't want to be in it together if I'm being degraded every time I say something. I don't have to agree with everybody. I don't have to like what you say, but at least want to respect what you have to say and use it for what it's worth. And I think that's where we need to go moving forward. We can't be pitting each other, as you said, against each other. Seeing what hasn't been done, we need to move forward and do what needs to be done. Keep doing the video and putting it online saying there needs to be an ordinance, and he's sitting here saying, well, I've been told numerous times that the ordinance is going to be superseded by the state. Why would I want to spend another 5 hours as a volunteer to put an ordinance through that the town may not even like, and they may not put it through, and then the state's not going to follow it anyways? My time is just as valuable as everybody else's in this room as volunteer. So I want to make sure I put my volunteer time and efforts, it's going to be worth the time and effort that I put into it. And that's all I got. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
So I'd like to move that we authorize the firm of Updike, Kelly and Spellacy to file any and all necessary actions on behalf of the town of East Windsor to oppose the expansion of gravel pit solar.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You guys need this filed tomorrow? Jesse?
Well, we want to file it as soon as possible, but I think we want to take it for tonight and add it to the draft of Jeff Ford and reflect not just the substance, but the tenor of what we're hearing tonight. Is that fair, Jesse?
It is.
If not tomorrow, Monday, but as soon as possible, but you don't want it, in the interest of getting it in quick, you don't want it to be less than as good as it can be in terms of reflecting what we're hearing from everyone here tonight with passion enforcement.
We're counting on you.
That's ready to be presented. So thank you very much for taking the time to be here. Attorney Langer, thank you for taking the time to be here.
Always happy to be.
We'll be talking to you guys very soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good. I need a 2-minute recess because my computer's going to die.
Make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll reconvene the meeting at 8:58 PM. Our next item of business is agenda item 8B, discussion regarding the dispossession of the HME, the 2002 HME fire truck. So as the board knows, and I passed out a copy of the policy, as the board knows, Broadbrook Fire Department is in the process of replacing their truck. They also are intending on surplusing their existing truck. And the policy says that if they are identifying and declaring assets that are surplus to its requirements, the department should provide in writing to the Board of Selectmen a declaration of surplus, the basis for the declaration, and any accurate appraisal of the sale value of each asset to be disposed of. The department Certainly, though well-meaning, has already listed the truck for public bid. That closes like in 3 weeks or so. At which point, I have shared with them that because it was purchased with town funds, it needs to follow the town policy, and it's going to come back through the policy that's in front of us. So this is, I'm asking that you consider this to be the written notice that they're declaring that as a surplus asset, so that we're in compliance with the policy. That's really it. Like I said, this is a super short item. Just want to make sure that everybody is aware of that. Once the bids are in, the department will open them and then make recommendation back to the Board of Selectmen as to who to award the bid to. And we'll follow the same process as outlined in that policy.
Could you have them review what you just said in writing and send it to us so we have it in writing from them?
Yeah. You want actually something in writing?
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do that.
Jason, what's the method for the bidding that they're using?
They publicly noticed it. I'm not sure entirely where, but I know that it's in papers of record in the region. It's been on certain surplus fire equipment websites. So they're soliciting it out. I mean, they were thinking that the winning bid would probably be in some place in like Oklahoma or Kansas or far away.
I think we should probably, my suggestion is we move to waive that portion of the policy for this particular item because they're not coming close to the requirements. I mean, they have to provide us with written notice, as you said. And so your reporting on it isn't meet the requirements. And so I'd rather make a motion to waive the
notice portion,
waive the procedure for declaring a surplus asset in this case because of the specific circumstances that you gave us here. That way we're not setting a precedent that other people can, do surplus disposal and just without going through the work that they're supposed to do. Because I think it's important. They should be giving us the written, this is really important stuff to have in terms of the written basis and the value and the appraised value and all of that. That's why it's here. I don't know if the other boards, the other select people might maybe agree just to do a waiver versus a.
I personally think I'd like to see this followed as closely as possible. So even if it is a little bit after the fact, I'd like to see their request as he reviewed it. It's very simple. In writing, because then I'd like the rest of this to be adhered to, so.
Oh, that's what you're asking for. I misunderstood. You would like for them to adhere to it in writing?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Other questions or comments, ladies?
No, I agree with Alan.
Okay, so I will, I think the chief is out of town, but I'll send the assistant chief and the deputy chief an email just asking for that. I mean, they're new in their roles. I don't think this is anything.
No, it's
just following the process.
Yep.
So that should be, I'm guessing in front of us by our first June meeting, but that's just my guess because I can't remember. Melissa, do you remember the open date?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have it, we might not have it for our first meeting. It might be the second meeting in June. Okay, I can do that. Okay. Tax refunds.
I move to approve the tax refunds totaling $817.20.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Selectmen's reports. I just have a couple of things I want to point out this evening. First of all, the budget referendum is scheduled for May 13th. It follows the usual hours, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. At the usual polling places, but that's the first referendum in the budget cycle. As you all know, the budget started sometime in December, and we're at the 5-yard line in terms of wrapping up the FY 25-26 fiscal budget. So please remember to vote on May 13th. There are 2 activities coming up in the next couple of weeks that may be fun for people to attend. And they're both arts and culture events. The first one is the what is this called? The quilt person, Tangular Irby, is going to talk about the G's Bend quilt this Saturday at 1 o'clock at the Warehouse Point Library. It's an all ages event, and there's going to be free books given out on a first come first served basis. And then on May 17th, 2 weeks after, the Arts and Culture Committee is holding their 3rd annual Arts and Culture Day. at the East Windsor Park under the pavilion. This is another free event, and if past prologue, it'll be raining because the first two have been in the rain. But they've still been fantastically well-attended events. So if anybody is interested in getting out, spending some time in the park and seeing what the Arts and Culture Committee is up to, mark their calendars for that. Marie, what do you have? All right, Keith,
Nothing tonight.
Alan. Go ahead.
I no longer sit on the Park Hill representative for the board. They had a meeting last month, which Keith attended regarding their solar proposal that they have. I thought Keith was gonna respond to it tonight. He told us last meeting he would, but he hasn't. But because solar was an issue here tonight, I feel it's important to bring it out. This is a package. I took the time to go up to get it. They originally proposed to put solar panels on each individual building. When they started that research to have that done, it was determined that that wasn't the best way to handle it. So if you ever been up the park, there's the main office, the building. Behind the property is a fence that goes across the tree line. It's now have been determined that the best way to do it for the resident is for those solar panels to the rear of that, which will require minimal amount of trees to come down. But the intent of those solar panels are to reduce those expenditures and the cost to those residents up at Park Hill. So I don't want anyone to go out there thinking there's another 1,000 acres out there, because there was been some comments on Facebook. I saw them, so I took the time to go to Park Hill to get it. So there is a schematic here that I'll turn over as part of the meeting. Will be available if anybody that wants to review it. So on that project, it's better to do it that way than to put them on the roof. They'll get a better return on it. So for Park Hill, that's a good project. So I just throw that out there for clarification.
Just to further clarify, that is not town property and the town is not doing it.
Right. Right. That is absolutely, it's not, it's only an independent project by the Housing Authority.
If I could just follow up, because Marie brought that up. When I went to the meeting, this is a preliminary presentation. They kind of didn't want to have a big discussion about it yet in public because they were worried about people having misconceptions and forming ideas. So that's why I didn't report on it. Glad you did. But they want just to get a proposal first before they decide whether one way or another. It was just a simple presentation. But I know that the director was concerned that people might get a misapprehension of what's going on and form a preliminary opinion about it and either, maybe against it.
And that they did when it got out to them, because that's how I found out about it, was on that East Windsor page. I think was the one that it came out of. And I immediately went down to get that. So she's aware that I was going to bring this tonight.
Oh, yeah, and I'm not criticizing you. That's why I'm just saying I didn't bring it up because,
I didn't do anything without their knowing that what I was going to do, because it is a private entity and I no longer am the representative for them, but I do care about them. So I just wanted to make sure that the rumor mill isn't being out there expanding that happening.
Alan.
Still out? You're good? No, he's good. I don't have a commission report this time, but I did want to say two things. One, I went to the girls' middle school track meet last week, and it was really good to see the track back in action. It was a bunch of kids out there running around having a good time. It was great to see.
Was that at the high school?
At the high school, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they're using it too. So they're getting plenty of use out of that. The second thing, and I should have probably brought this up. I didn't expect the room to clear out as much as it did, although I should have probably assumed it would. But one of the things that I keep saying about this solar, and not just solar, but any use of our farmland and our forest land and other open spaces, we have a commission that has graded all the farmland, and they know where the forest land is, the Conservation Commission, and they've made various little programs to try to educate people, the owners of these properties, that, there are various state programs where they can, get some sort of money off or money for their property. And beyond that, we have the Open Space Fund, which is funded by when other developments come in and they, will give us money in lieu of open space for a project or whatever. And that's primarily how that is funded, but we could choose to fund it more. And I think one of the ways, we can't save it all, but one of the ways to save some of this land, and specifically the prime farmland and prime forest land, or in sensitive areas, is to actually just own it as a community. And we do own a number of farmland properties and I think a little bit of forest as well. And they rent it out to local farmers and a local farmer right now. And I think it's a great use of the property. And it is then under our control completely. We decide as a community. But even then, it's not protected. So for the instance of Kogut property, Kogut is owned by the taxpayers of East Windsor. And so that's great. And we all think, well, that's super. But at any point in time in the future, the town of East Windsor could decide to sell that to a developer or a solar company or anybody else. There's no deed restriction on any of that property. And that's just something a little bit food for thought. Things that you think are protected just because it says it's open space, or in that case, it's not even open space. You need a deed restriction a lot of times, conservation easements. There's lots of different things that can be done that will help protect this land. And I'll just bring up the most recent one. And there's a bunch of different flavors. The gentleman that spoke tonight made me kind of remember this. I've said this online and in person probably 100 times in the last 6 years. The best way to do this is to put our money where our mouth is, right? In a lot of cases, we need to step in before this gets to this point. And so 334 Rye Street was 150 acres that was owned by Griffin Land Trust. Griffin Land Trust sold the development rights. We used our open space for our portion of it, and the state provided the rest of the portion of the money to buy the development rights. It then made that 150 acres of prime farmland a lot cheaper for somebody to buy, but somebody bought it. It went out to bid. People bought, everybody bid on it. Somebody won it, and they're farming tobacco on it. And it has a homestead on it, so somebody could buy that property and have a 3-acre homestead and have 150 acres of reasonably priced farmland. That's one of the many options that could be done. And I just want to point out that has been done in the past. I'm hoping we use it a lot more effectively in the future. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up and remind people of that. Thanks.
That was actually a local, state, federal partnership. There was.
I didn't know the feds were in it.
Yeah, so the town's role in that was to pay for the A2 boundary survey. That's what the town's responsibility was. And so of the total value of that, we kicked in like $14,000 because that's all we had at the time. The state, through the Farmland Preservation Program, and the USDA through the Ag Lands Easement Program, funded the rest of the funds. The problem with that, and you're absolutely right about that as being a solution, but the problem with that is it takes time. It takes years to go through that process. And the developers come in and they're quicker. They have to check with them when they're sitting down with somebody. And the process needs to be sped up at both the federal and the state level for any chance of competition.
And that's one way to do it. And that takes a while. But I think there's a number of different ways. And the Conservation Commission has been trying to educate people. Specifically, they've reached out to farmers and told them, here's your options. Here's things that you can do. And, to some effect. But they're out there working. And if you want to help them out, they could use the help.
What about
so look for people that
320 Rice Street that my family sold many years ago through that same thing?
Talking about the Schumi property?
Yes, Nancy Schumi.
That's a good example as well. And I don't remember how that was funded, but
Federal.
That was federal, and that's rented out. That's being farmed.
Yes, it was 40 acres, and the town owns a property adjacent to it.
Yep.
Where the old town farm was, Town Farm Road.
So because that's a federal, it was paid for with federal dollars. There is a restriction on that. It can only be agriculture.
And it will never have solar.
So that property and the property I was just talking about, and all that property could never be built.
Many times in the year.
Sarah. All right. Public participation. This is the second opportunity for members of the public to address the Board of Selectmen. I'm going to work off the list, and I believe everybody who is intending to speak has signed up. If that changes, come up and sign your name, and we'll get to you in turn. First up is going to be Mark Liliadall.
Liliadall, 170 Rye. Gonna do a spiel like everybody else was tonight. And I decided to wait until after Bob spoke and listen to the attorney Keith's comments. And I've got some bad news. I don't know if all of you know that all the property that belongs to Garden Nursery is under option. All under option by Sawbox, so including parcels in Ellington. Parcel in Ellington, this is about 800 acres total.
In Ellington or in total?
Both Jack's property in our town and pieces in Ellington. They're all under option by Saltbox. Saltbox Solar is an LLC owned by D.E. Shaw. Same people that own Gravel Pit. I've got a letter here dated October 1st from ISO, which is the power loop controller in New England, to Eversource, proving transmission, solar farm, and the generation of power to 150 megawatt new solar farm being built, proposed to be built in East Windsor and Ellington sharing. I'd like to give you a copy if you would want. Would you like that?
Could you email it, please, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I have 10 copies here. I can hand them to you right now if you'd like.
We don't take documents from the public during public participation, but if you email it to us, I'll make sure the whole board gets it.
This is a warning. Because after what Bob said and what Keith talked about, these guys are coming. This letter these are cases. Each three of these are specifically to Saltbox Solar. So this has been approved by Eversource to fit into their system. So this is what comes next after this. This is another 150 megawatts. That would make this town 300 megawatts power, all owned by Shaw, same people. We got to stop this. I'm imploring all of you people here to get this committee together because this application is on the way. It's coming. This is in October. Okay, it's May. And you know the way they work. You know Shaw, how they work. They are extremely good and they cover all their bases and they're coming. And we've got to have a group together. It's going to fight this one because this is the enchilada. This is the big one. This affects a lot of people in this room. And it makes GPS just as big. So that's all I have to say. Please get some people together and get ready for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will just say, if it's in two towns, we've got increased numbers. So that's at least a little something different to our advantage.
The piece in Ellington is about 100 acres and all the other, I'll be honest with you, he's got 9 parcels that are all optioned to Saltbox. And listen, this is the killer. The options are till 2028. 2028 that he's got land optioned to Saltbox Solar.
You posted that on Facebook already, right?
Yes.
Okay, I did read that.
We've got to act on this because if we don't get these, the 30 is one thing. We can deal with that. When we told us tonight that it was 95% approval rating, that scared the hell out of me with us because this is big. And this has already been approved. And that's not good.
Thank you. Paul Anderson.
Yeah.
Brought some good news tonight, but I'm not gonna deal with it yet.
Thank you.
Okay. We got a big solar issue going on. That I understand. Siting council is a disaster put together by the state legislature. Okay. When you vote at an election, parties are stupid. You gotta pick out people who support what you want and vote for them. This state is pure Democrat and we get what we get. The only way we change it is to vote for individuals who support what you want. And if they don't vote for them. Because every 2 years, the legislature does a total disaster on us, creating more and more and more laws. Currently, the Connecticut general statutes have an index this thick in tiny print, 3 volumes, just for the index. Those laws have been on the books since the 1700s, and you're breaking laws tonight somehow. We are just buried in laws. We need to get rid of some laws. And the only way you're going to do it is to vote for people to help get rid of them. Okay, that's my spiel on that. Because while this issue is big, the future's coming and there's going to be a lot more issues. So vote intelligently. Okay. On April 24th, the science class from the high school went to the Water Pollution Control Authority to do a tour of our sewer facility. I'm the chairman of that, by the way. It was on Facebook. I printed some stuff out. Fantastic group of students. They asked questions. They got to smell our poop. They went through the lab to understand how things are analyzed and processed. This morning, I had breakfast with Dr. Truden, our superintendent of schools, and Barbara, whatever her name is, who did this, okay? So what this means to me is education, real education. We're very critical about our money spent on education, but there's work afoot to help students understand reality. Sewer plant's reality. Well, today, they were learning how to understand surveying and how it works and why we even bother. And they get to use instruments. We're getting businesses to help students learn real things to get exposure instead of sitting there reading books or watching videos or whatever the heck it is they do. So.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Burmishaw.
Buddy.
Pardon me?
Political. Just saying, I promise not to make it political.
It's not political. Vote for individuals. Don't vote for politics. Too bad. Serve them right.
This process that we're doing has a lot of headbutting and a lot of back and forth in town, and I would like to put a positive note on it. I would like to recognize Christelle and Robin Chesky for all the work they've put into helping the sphere of citizens, helping inform us citizens, helping organize the citizens. Really putting hours and hours and a lot of labor into helping us help the community. And I know everybody will appreciate, but I'm standing up here telling you, I sincerely appreciate you ladies. My nickname for them has been the Lady Knights of East Windsor. I really appreciate them on so many issues, on so many educational points. As everybody must know, I have a brain injury. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'll admit that any day of the week. I sometimes have to ask them questions 5, 6 times, or, can you clarify this point? Because these few words here don't, they're not logical to me. I need logic. And they never say, oh, man, we freaking told you that like 5 times already. Why are you wasting my time? They just sit there and they calmly explain it to me again, go into a little more detail. And I really appreciate that. That's one thing, common theme you always hear in these meetings is, we don't get answers, we don't get answers. These ladies got answers, and if they don't have answers, they're gonna get you the answers, and they do it in a timely fashion. And they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. This is their personal time they're investing in this. They hold no title, they hold no office. And I really can't thank you ladies enough. I was so proud of you to see you out there with us on the street, and putting us there, organizing us to put us there, and organizing us well enough to put us in this room that we're so proud of. There's people in the hallway. You know, that's on you ladies, and I sincerely appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. You make my town a better place to live. I don't even know what to do to say how much I appreciate you. You've done me a personal favor. No, me. But, I don't know if there's any type of award for a town to, give them Citizen of the Year or something like that. I don't even want to wait until this, this whole thing plays through. I think it's time for you guys to get appreciated now, and that's why I wanted to make sure I come up here and took my 3 minutes to give you 3 minutes of fame.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Whoops. Crystal.
Thanks for having me the second time around. First, I want to address, Marie, that the meeting that you attended was an open meeting to anyone. It was not sponsored by our group. After that meeting, we stopped doing meetings because I feel that the East Windsor residents for responsible solar should not be political. I try very hard on our posts to stop any political comment. There are people who obviously will blame certain people in this town. I've had conversations with people off Facebook, and politely told them that the platform that we have is not for political comments. Don't feel that we can educate people if we're having a debate about politics. It's worked very well. I've had many comments of people being appreciative that they can go to our site and actually get information and not get in a debate. And so I just want to clarify that with you.
And you've done a good job with your website, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. Secondly, I'm kind of just going to go off my script, but Alan, you spoke on behalf of what I was going to conclude with, is that I know, you know, we have a lot of, with these utility scale projects, during the gravel pit solar petition, Brian Hurlbert of the Department of Ag wrote a letter, and his biggest concern for us was our loss of farmland. He encouraged that we secure conservation easements on the farmland within our community. I think this is a great opportunity to try to get the solar company to secure an easement that we can secure land that would protect other people from development. And I'm thinking about the people on Middle and East. And it breaks my heart to know that they could be surrounded by solar. And if we can't, we should try to get a slice of land around them that they don't have to drive home and be surrounded by solar. They will be cut off from our town. They will have solar on the left, they'll have solar on the right, they'll have solar in front of them, and Ellington line is in the back, and guess what? That's open field. And if they put this in, don't tell me they're not coming for it. They will be an island. And I think that's a way to just end it. I mean, we seriously need to get those companies to give us the money for the easements, not us, them.
Thank you. Bob Light.
No, he already had a better taken away from me. He didn't realize I was going to say something really complimentary. sincerely compliment you. Chris, you have challenged me to do the best that I possibly can, and I believe it has to be apolitical. It's got to be a combined effort here with this town. And boy, up until Mark told me about all these land options, I said, we're on a roll. I'm going to be the leader of a pep rally and maybe be the oldest one. That's part of it. Commission or committee that Keith talked about. That's imperative that we do that. Now, and handing out sincere thoughts as well as the one I just passed along to Keith. Thank you for confirming what I had started to say about Facebook. It's not a good place to communicate. There has to be, amongst all of these people here in our combined effort, a better place to promote our new. This is the first day of our rest of our career against solar fields, the rest of our opportunities to do something like that. Jason, especially sincere thanks for allowing the dialogue. It doesn't have to happen, and I saw it happen, and it was in the best interest of everybody here and everybody watching on the Zoom session. That's what we need. Now, where in the hell's the media?
They're online.
Online.
You got one there.
NBC.
NBC?
Fox News.
Wonderful.
Fox News would be on at 10 o'clock.
Okay. I was paying more attention to the content going on here in the room. I should have been dual tasking. But one of the things that I really feel and is that one of the ways that we're going to attract the media is by having press conferences by the people at the top of the list. We need to have our 2 state representatives here. We need to have Senator Anwar here as part of this group. And we need to have Blumenthal and Murphy and John Larson calling press conferences saying, these guys are in my territory. I don't care whether they're Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated, or whatever they are. And keeping that in mind, I'm in the 59. Do you know that Rye Street, here's the idiocracy to politics, to your point. Do you know that Rye Street, on my side of Rye Street, I'm in the 59th district and I have Carol Hall as my representative, and all my friends and neighbors on the other side have our other state representative. And they're both doing a good job. I've down to I've participated in 2 Pura hearings. And you know what? I'm going to keep on fighting. There's no white flag in my quiver, in my arsenal. Let's get together and we can do it together.
Thank you, sir. Lisa Matthews.
Matson, I'm at 36 Barberville Road. I just wanted to bring up a couple items that I mentioned in my first speech. That this particular document from 2023 that was issued by Planning and Zoning, the grid scale solar. This document, as well as the one that the Planning and Zoning issued the other day. These documents, in my opinion, are very strong in the representative of our zoning changes and our zoning stance. So when other, Attorney Bob DiCrescenzo says that we have to implement changes, I agree, but these are excellent standalone documents. So I really have to give a big thanks to the Planning and Zoning team for producing these over the course of a couple of years.
I think the second one you're referencing is the letter that I sent down.
Oh, okay, the letter that you sent, okay. Oh yeah, excuse me, you sent, yes. Okay, so you tied it in. And the two make a stance. So kudos to, thanks to you and them for aligning yourselves. I just like to finish a couple points from my initial letter that I couldn't finish. My last statement was that I had asked for a moratorium And my fourth statement is that I'd ask for the town to submit formal legal complaints asking citizen abutters, and not just the existing petition, but all the petitions, to join together against Green Skies, Mulnite, and the gravel pit solar petitions, and the ones that are going to be proposed. I believe everybody, it's every citizen has to do it. And I know everybody's going to say, well, those petitions are already approved. Well, in my particular petition where I complained about Mulnite behind me, the Green Skies, I said they changed the whole petition, the citing of the particular solar, and I said they haven't produced any toxicology reports. They didn't produce any sound studies. And I asked for a public hearing. All of that was declined. So as far as I'm concerned, I was not given due process. There's prejudice, against East Windsor. It's clear we're being unfairly cited by Connecticut Siting. They are not evaluating the unfair citing, based on the map that was just recently produced. So that's another one of my requests to the Board of Selectmen, that all of you asked to have a proper map displayed, very large as possible, to show what's already approved, what's going to be approved, and so forth. So that way we as a town can evaluate it. So I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks, madam. That concludes the list who have signed up to speak. I'm going to ask now, is there anyone else who would like to speak? If so, I'm going to ask you to come up and sign your name for the second time, sir.
Okay, Stan Pulaski.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, neighbor.
I will take them.
Okay.
Actually, my executive assistant is over there. If you could leave some with her, that would be great.
I think she might have taken it, but we could get them to get them.
Okay.
I don't know, they're big.
Mr. Pulaski, for the second
Okay,
time.
Stan Pulaski, right. In light of what Lisa had talked about, and we just started talking about maps. One of the things that we have not talked about is our aquifer. And I was one of 13 people, I was the last lucky one to get on to a Zoom call with the siting council. And Lisa was on it, you were on that one, on that Zoom call. And there had been made mention, and if you look at our town map and you look at the aquifer and you look at where that solar farm, that gravel pit solar is, it's right on top. The aquifer just doesn't feed us, but it feeds inadvertently other communities. So I would ask that we can leverage that against the siting council. Something that the townspeople and everybody that's against it, anytime that I've sent emails to the siting council, Jason has got stuck on the CC. At least that way he knows what I'm up to. But I've also turned around and Jamie Foster's my representative on my side of Rice Street. But I'm also going to Carroll Hall. The unfortunate problem I've had is I've had communications really good with our representative. Our Senator Anwar has not. And I had made discussion at the Wapping Fair with his people that I have not got anything back from emails on him. And I think it's very important that he's brought into this also too. Well, our representatives they need to hear our voices also too. They need to know that there's a rumble. And that rumble, again, and I think it was said very well, doesn't matter what political party you are, race, creed, or color. If you're next to this, it is going to affect you in one way or another. It just doesn't matter. It's going to affect you. Could be mentally, physically. It doesn't, there's so many things. And it's very interesting. We've talked about buying out rights and land building rights. But does that state, when they buy those land rights, could they have come in and all of a sudden say, build something else. That's one thing that always worries me, and I've never actually had the proper answer on that, so. If somebody could quell my fears, that would be a great thing, but thank you to everybody, and don't forget to email your representatives. They need to hear our voice too. Yeah, that doesn't hurt.
Thank you, Stan. And I just will assure you that when the state buys development rights, it is in perpetuity. It is not revocable.
Okay.
Okay, is there anybody online who would like to address the members of the Board of Selectmen? I can't see the names, at least all of them. If you would like to address the board, please unmute yourself, state your name and your address, and state your business. I think Noreen, and then I'll turn back to you, Tim.
Hi, Jason Noreen Farmer, 247 South Water Street. I've been watching from the beginning, and it's heartwarming to see the passion that was displayed tonight about this particular situation that affects all of us. I don't live anywhere near these. I live as far to Windsor Locks as you can possibly be, but it does affect us all. And there's a lot of things that affect all of this that's happening. And it's great to see the passion about this. And I hope that some of that could be converted into other things that are important to us. As Alan talked about, the ability to conserve some of the land by having enough money in coffers to be able to do that. That's a matter of us developing economically and being able to do a lot of things that are more progressive, and a lot of that's got to do with either raising taxes or economically developing this town. And I hope that the passion that people were displaying tonight about this particular situation can be expanded into other things we have going on in town, and looking at it from the bigger perspective of how all of this affects every single person in the town of East Windsor in some capacity. Be it our elderly or our children who need a good education. And I'm hopeful that a community we can come together for the good of everyone. And so I was very pleased to see what went on. And in my capacity as the chairman of the Economic Development Commission that has just been newly reformulated, we could use some people to join that commission. So anybody who, and I really don't like political stuff. I don't think it's necessary, but unfortunately, you have to have Republicans, unaffiliateds, and Democrats, because the state says to. So if anybody in the room who's an unaffiliated or a Republican who's interested in economic development, it does affect every single thing we do, and we really need to put some real focus on that. So I hope the passion that was displayed tonight can continue being displayed for all aspects of our town.
Thank you, madam. Mr. Moore.
My name is Tim Moore, 145 Chamberlain Road. Try not to repeat what everybody else has really said, but one thing I keep wondering is, do we know how much they're planning on paying per acre? Or I don't know if anybody's really talked about the financials of it. Is it 4,000 or 40,000 or 400,000? I just don't think we know.
For the acquisition.
Yeah. For the land, and is it getting rented? Is it getting leased? Is it getting sold?
No idea.
Obviously.
They have options on it all.
So I think we kind of got to figure out like what that's worth, and then what we have in our budget to buy land. Obviously, we're not going to buy all of it, but I'm sure if we kind of like spur a thing where maybe people in this room would be willing to pony up extra money. I don't even know if that's a thing, or we could take a town vote to say, oh, we need $1 million extra to buy this many acres. And obviously the cost of land is just going to keep going up over years. It's not, or we can go back down. So if the solar company says, oh, we'll pay $40,000 an acre for gardeners and for whoever's property it is, multiple nights. And then somebody else says, oh, well, we got $50,000 an acre. We just want to see it open space. And then, they'll raise their price. So I feel like maybe that's I don't know if there's an avenue there, but that was, Yeah, the special species things, I don't know if there's anything we could stand in the way with those kind of stuff. Or as we talked about the aquifer, sometimes there's like a special spotted newt you can find, or like a pitcher plant or something on some of those properties. That's been, it doesn't usually work. And then I think also the wording that the lawyer, I couldn't really hear him too well. I appreciate you sending out a link, but maybe we could use like our call system to get to people, because it's great to get a turnout one night, but then everybody says, oh, okay, they started a committee. And then those 50 people that showed up kind of just stopped caring, because they assumed 6 people that joined the committee are going to take care of everything else. So to kind of keep the momentum rolling, I think we got to say, okay, next Tuesday, we're all going to go to the state capitol, and on next Friday, we're going to go here, instead of just keep bugging the Board of Selectmen, because there's nothing they can do about this. It's on a higher level. So if somebody's friends with Donald Trump or something, maybe we could get his attention, because I'm sure he wouldn't want, our times being solar panels. But so I just feel like Gravel Solar is kind of like an eagle, and we're a bunch of little crows chasing them around because they got the power. So if we could find somebody to play on our team that's a big owl or another eagle or something, I think that would be better than just as it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there any other public comments? Oh, no, that's my cursor.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
Is there any other public comment? Asking a third time, is there any other public comments?
Well, if you know again.
Hearing none, we will have an executive session. It'll include Chief Carl and Deputy Chief Murphy with no action to follow. Right, Chief? Okay. May I have a motion to go into executive session? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are in executive session at 9:45 PM. It's 11:03. We're out of executive session. There's no further business to come before the Board of Selectmen. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at 11:03.